let's call order our January 12th board meeting. We all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Laura, you want to do roll call, please?
Kevin Scramlin.
Here.
Janelle Keller.
Here.
Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Keith Peterhold.
Here.
Jeff Panzine.
Here.
Angela Willis.
Here.
David Newbell.
Here.
Lynn Shank.
Yes, ma'am.
Daniel Kernitz.
Here.
Mike Donlin.
Here. All right, thank you. Approval of agenda, including additions or changes, excuse me. Does anyone have anything they need to change or add? Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for January 12th, 2026.
Support. All those in favor? Opposed?
We want to change the date at the top, 26. Just say it.
Next, we will open for public comment. If there's any public comment at this time, please raise your hand. All right, well, then we will close public comment. Thank you. Consent agenda, you know, you want to go with that?
We didn't have a whole lot in accounts payables because, well, we weren't here for a lot of the holiday. So you'll see a little, almost 21,000 in general, 16,000 in fire. There was a $1,400 check written, out of Camp Tamarack from their escrow account for something that they're working on, so that's what that $1,435 is. And yeah, that's what it
Maybe that's it. Anybody have anything?
Well, we are, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still looking at our agenda. We did pull the regional chambers.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Anyone?
Nope.
A motion that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll second that.
Laura, you want to roll call that, please?
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Keith Peterhold.
Yes. We will move on to presentations. Mr. Tom Zelensky, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. It's kind of different to be here and not be talking about an event, so great to be here. Mike made mention of that, and so I know why you're here. Several years back, 22, Bob DePalma, prior to his retirement, brought me into the fold on the Mines of Oakland project. Although it wasn't necessarily called that in the moment. Asked if I would be interested in helping develop the marketing plan, and specifically in a more immediate term was video content and some photo content and some graphic items along with the presentation. Said yes. As time went by, that took a bit longer than anticipated for the township to move forward with that. Beginning in 24, although Bob and I talked about it many times, beginning in 24, things started to look like it was going to be a bit more serious. In May of that year, we met, spoke, walked through some of the details. He gave me some very specific ideas about what might be needed so that we might get a jump start on it, with the idea that I would have perhaps as many as 25 or 30 automotive OEM executives, certainly prime candidates for the use of that new facility, that industrial park, if that's what we want to call it, at Detroit 4Fest, and that we would try to have something packaged up and ready to go by that time. There was some delays routing that through Oakland County. Mike Abdullah was involved. I hope I pronounced his name properly. And it took a bit more time, as these things sometimes do. It kind of came down where we had asked for a 90-day time frame to develop it, and we ended up with about 22 days to develop it. Thankfully, and I get none of the credit other than forcing my team to work harder. They pulled it off and we developed it all. At that moment, I suggested that there was a definite need for a website and nobody had secured the URL, the Mines of Oakland, which Bob said, you know what, that's absolutely right, please do that. And we'll need to develop a website because it's hard to have any credibility if you go out into the marketing space in the absence of a website that people can go to. That's almost a mandatory item these days. The scope of my original agreement, which Janelle, I know you have multiple copies of that. I brought extras in case anybody would like to look at them. The scope of that original agreement did not include any website development. I moved ahead. You certainly can question why I did so, but we moved ahead, developed that URL, built out a website, and we're now obviously coming up on a year and a half, I guess 2 years from the discussion phase, but a year and a half from the actual contractual stage. It doesn't appear, I've not been involved in any additional meetings around that project. At this moment, my ask respectfully would be if we can just come to square on the website and the development associated with that and the subsequent costs that were associated with maintaining that and securing it. We'll gladly turn that website URL over to the township, and certainly you guys can maintain it in whatever fashion you'd like or modify it or whatever you'd like to do. And so that's why I've appeared here this evening. I've already provided Janelle with some of the documentation associated with that, as well as what that net invoice of about $3,800 looks like. And I hope I can answer some questions if anybody has any.
Tom, can I see a copy of the agreement, please?
Sorry, this is multiple pages,
Okay, we just want to see.
but the back of it is here.
Okay, thanks.
And I have others if needed. In addition to that, Jim, hang on. And this might be helpful rather than a very colorful document, because that is the summary statement of scope of work and the invoicing amount for that. As I mentioned, Jim, that is excluding any website.
Tom, could we get one over here?
Oh, yeah, of course. You already have one, right? Okay. I want to,
Just back up so that we're clear, Tom. So you were never, you never had a contract with the township then to build a website?
that's accurate.
That's accurate. So you went on your own, for lack of better words, to do that?
That's an accurate way to portray that.
Okay. I'm looking at an invoice, so just correct me if I'm wrong, but not to beat the dead horse, but so you had video work you did for that, was it 47,000 was what the grant was for?
The grant was for $47,000. That was inclusive of the development of 3D video content, that was gonna be used in multiple different ways. You have, well, I don't wanna say you personally, but the township, has that content on several thumb drives and so on, so that that can be distributed at events. In addition to that, there was a sum of $5,000 allocated out of the $47,000 to attend various trade shows, all of which were attended. And we added to that, at Bob's request, when he was still here, that I attend a couple of Oakland County events, which we attended as well. Obviously, when they're in Oakland County, there's not much cost associated with going to those, so.
Sure. I mean, just to be clear, from my point, and I did talk to Will about this today too, it's a slippery slope. You have to think about us agreeing to pay for something that no board approved, whether it be this board or a prior board. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, but please ask Tom any questions you have. Teresa?
Well, you were able to take the, promotional stuff that you made to the 4 trade shows that it shows in here,
Yeah.
plus some others.
Yes.
Can I ask, how was it received? What kind of feedback did you get?
The feedback was fantastic. Here's where we arrived at a little bit of a standstill on this, that there isn't currently something to go market. And let me try to be more descriptive than just that. Typically, if we're marketing something, we're like, hey, we have this item, and we would like you to buy it, or to lease it in this case, and we can show them something. Because I've not been involved in any subsequent meetings beyond when we turned this over initially, I don't know what is there to market. And so that response has been, wow, that sounds like a place that we would be interested in being, but I haven't done any additional follow-up because I didn't know what to follow up with. And I hope that's not a vague answer, but it's the best answer I can give you. But certainly there's a good response out there, and there's definitely an interest in North Oakland County in a broader sense, and access to the park. And being very pointed again, one of the, for those that don't know, I'm making reference to the Holly Oaks ORV Park. But one of the points that a executive from an automotive OEM brought up is, well, Tom, we access the park through you anyway. Do we need to be there? And I said, well, explain all of the advantages associated with having garage space and potential meeting space and so on, directly there. And guys, just for clarity, that sort of is a competitor to my own offices and shop that are on Big Sky Drive. But I'm all in because I've got a very small office space and shop space, and a lot of these OEMs need far more than what I can offer them in that moment. Teresa, that was a long-winded answer, but I hope that helps.
So basically, yes, there is interest.
Oh, there's very definite interest. And there's interest beyond that space where I am specifically engaged with auto and power sports companies, because there's a lot of adjacents to them that are parallels to that, you know, are not looking for access to the off-road park,
Okay.
but are supplying parts and pieces and things to those automotive OEMs and power sports OEMs that are interested in the park.
Okay.
Dalton pretty much asked it.
Jim?
Yeah, hey, Tom, I've got a couple of questions. And forgive me if I'm not intuitive. The contract for this work is through the county, is that right?
It was funded through a grant from the county.
So the contract's between your group and Groveland?
The contract is between us and Oakland County by way of Groveland Township. And Jim, in fairness, I didn't understand why it had to work that way either, necessarily, but I played along.
Okay, so, the last thing I want is an adversarial relationship. So, we're gonna have maybe an adversarial position on this. Why are you approaching us and Louisville County for this?
Because the website will ultimately be turned over to you, to the township. You guys will manage that website ultimately. Or hire us to manage it, but I think that time has already passed. So ultimately, we will be transferring that website to you, and the township will then be responsible for maintaining it or modifying it, or frankly, one of the biggest things these days is securing that website, so that it can't get hacked. Although you won't be transactional on that website, it's only informational, so less security issues than a transactional website.
Okay, and how long did the contract run? Is it still in force?
No. We long ago completed the aspects that were contracted for. I stayed on and continued to represent it because, well, you guys know I'm part of this community and I'm part of the park, and my office is next to the park and all of that. So our contractual obligation ended a long time ago.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I missed that a little bit when I stepped down. Tom, what was the difference between the 3841 and the 8,000?
The $8,000 is what our retail, what I would call retail versus wholesale net cost is. I'm simply trying to recover net cost. And as Jim pointed out, avoiding any adversarial situation. If I was not part of this community, certainly we would bill you at retail for that website like we would any other customer.
Is the website up and operational right now?
Yes, sir. And fortunately, because we own and operate 39 different websites, I was able to get that exact URL,
Mines of Oakland.
theminesofOakland.com.
You may have said this, Mines of Oakland, our attorney already had reserved. And when you guys set it up, it was the Mines of Oakland,
Yes.
so it's on our website.
Yeah, it's been linked on the township website
For
for
a while,
maybe 18 months or so.
yeah.
And we've updated it for security purposes as we go. This is a big cliff to dive off of, and we're not gonna get all technical, but it requires constant updating for security, and when I say security, not transactional security, but just so that people don't mess with it, and it's complex, and thankfully I have a great person on the team, because honestly, I don't understand as much as I need to.
What's your guys' thoughts?
I need to chew on this a little bit. Well, looking at me, I would say the first thing not to dodge, this is the second time I've heard about this in 48 hours. So there's things I need to chew on. So I wouldn't mind tabling it for a month so we can talk about it. If that's not on the table, then perhaps we could all talk it out now. You tell me, Kevin, how you want to do it.
It doesn't matter to me, that's why the whole board's here. Your guys' thoughts?
So let me just make sure I understand clearly. The amount that you're asking from us tonight is the $3,841?
That's correct.
And this 4,000 is like nothing, like you're not asking for this.
That's correct also.
You're asking for just this,
I provided that merely for documentation.
okay. So if we were to do this, then what you're saying is that we would be, we're already the owners of the actual presentation that you created.
All of the presentation items are all yours.
Yeah,
The outstanding item is that website.
okay. So that website, I guess I'm definitely not a website person, okay, but, that, thought you were laughing at me. I'm like, go ahead, chuckle.
That was a cough, that was for sure a cough.
Also laughable.
Yes, so, just a question, like, if you brought that to us, that presentation, and said, hey, here you guys go, can you slap this up on your website? Was that a thing we could have done, or was that not a thing we could have done? I mean,
Okay,
the necessity of this specific website versus just slap this up on your website,
I
people.
hope everybody will indulge me for a minute
And that's why I'm
on a
asking.
little technical conversation.
Okay,
Theoretically, yes, you could have put the video content onto your website.
slapped it up there.
And absolutely no way for it to be searched.
Okay,
Somebody would have to come to your website and say, I want to find out about this Mines of Oakland thing. Did I even get the name right? Where? I don't know. in order to be relevant, there's a sign out there now that went up in June, July, somewhere in that range.
Last summer.
Somebody drives past that. How would they look? How would they ever find out any information? Everybody knows you go to a website. I had made a suggestion, when we developed all that there should be a QR code on that sign where somebody pulls up and goes, so what is this? How do I find information on it? There should be a QR code hanging on there that somebody can just put up to their phone and boom, takes them to the website. We do it on all of ours. It's on our business cards, it's on everything. So the simple answer is, you could put a portion of that presentation, the video for instance, on the website. That's not gonna get you a lot of credibility, and it certainly isn't gonna be searchable by anybody on the web, because it just won't pull up. You have to have a URL. Could you abandon the URL entirely and surrender the website? You could. You could shut it down tomorrow and it would go away, but that would be a decision you would need to make on a marketing level about whether or not you want, what you want to have happen with the Mines of Oakland.
That's a good answer. I understood that answer. So my next question would be, if we were to take this over, what are the costs that we are then taking on ourselves as taking over this website? Like what does
Literally
it cost?
almost nothing if you manage it.
Okay,
If the township manages it, somebody manages it, Janelle manages it, the cost is $90 a year
okay,
for the URL. So there's almost no cost associated with that. If you had somebody manage the website to add, change content, add new information, when the sign went up, we went in and put up new pictures of the sign. Because it's relevant. Hopefully somebody will tie those things together. But with that said, yeah, you could literally, and I'm not making a very good case for, this, but you could shut it down and the township will carry on. Won't help you market that amazing piece of property over there, but yeah, the township is gonna just carry on and keep going. If you take over the website and the management of it, I highly suggest that you keep some level of security. That's typically $40 a month or so. That's what we pay per website, typically $39 and change. But you don't have to. And let's face it, that website is not a big hacking threat. Unlike our event websites and that kind of thing where people are in and out of them and we're transacting business and all of that. We've actually taken all of our transactional stuff off of our website and it's on a separate secure server because there's rotten people out there.
Mhm.
Kevin, I've got a couple more.
Oh, go ahead,
Please.
Yes, Bobby.
Tom, I believe, and I don't know, so if anyone here knows, I believe when we embraced as a board Mr. Dowd, that was for a one-year time period, I believe.
And I'm sorry, who is that?
Atlas Real Estate.
It's the real estate agent.
Oh, is that Jeff?
Yes.
Is that it? Okay. I've yet to meet that person.
Same,
Not surprising.
just like,
So what we have here now is we have a website that in theory is directed, do you own a broker's license, real estate license?
No, I'm not in the real estate business.
The contact information is for one real estate professional and one non-real estate professional. I wish you had brought this up to Kevin because our attorney should have some comment about this. Plus, we're not totally sure, I think as a board, we know the direction for any of our property right now, per se. How long has this been up, Tom?
what?
Months?
18?
The website's been up for 18 months. Okay. Okay.
And anytime you would like to have my name off of it, I would love to be off. Please.
Thanks for the.
I'm saying that respectfully, please.
Okay, this helps me to be brought up to speed. I don't have any more questions, you guys.
Okay. Yeah, Tom, I'm glad Teresa has that. I thought you wanted both the 4,000 and the 3,841.
No, and I apologize if I confuse things. I was trying to, when
No, I-
Janelle said, give me all the information you can,
No, I'm
I
glad-
did, and
I'm
maybe,
glad you put it out.
maybe I overdid it. Sometimes there's TMI.
Yeah, right. What's your thoughts, Janelle? You've been quiet besides coughing.
Just trying to breathe. I mean, I support, I think it is a very, kind of a gray position because it is approving something after a business partnership decision without our approval, so that makes it a really great position for us.
Yep.
And on the same token, I think all of us would wanna have a good working relationship with you still. So it's kind of this kind of wishy-washy area. I mean, I support whatever the board wants to do with it.
Can we have another month to mull it over, talk to our attorney, just make sure we're not doing anything that we shouldn't be doing? I mean, is it, I hate to put you off, but if you're okay with that, like, one more month?
Teresa, it's gone on this long.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
Not to be a smart aleck, but look, I'm in and out of this office a lot. One more
Right.
month is not gonna change my world at all.
Okay.
I may go hungry, but I'll get through.
There's stuff in the snack room.
Okay, I'll be stopping by for lunches.
Well, it makes a
Of course
lot,
you can have a-
it's, I have a much better understanding of
Yes,
what
I
it
do.
is, that what you're asking and, you know, what's been done and so on. And
Yeah.
so
I do too.
I would feel more comfortable if I had a little more time to look into it, make sure that, you know, our attorneys, like, we're not doing something we shouldn't be doing as a board.
No,
Yeah,
make a motion.
I don't want to put anybody into that position. So, yeah, please talk it over if you need more information. Glad to provide it.
Okay.
And glad to answer more questions if they surface. At some moment, no matter how all of this plays out, we have to come up with an accommodation to turn that website
Yes.
over to the township. Just very pointedly, every month, it's $40 out of our pocket. I don't wanna keep doing that. It seems that my involvement will come to an end at this point, and I would prefer that we resolve it sooner rather than later, if I can say so respectfully.
We'll resolve it February for sure, Tom.
Great.
All right.
Fantastic. On that note, thank you all so much. I have 2 huge events at the park this week, and I'm under a lot of pressure.
You don't wanna stay for all the fun?
Normally, Kevin, I would. I'm always in for the fun, but in this case, I'm going to drive back over to my office and keep working.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I'll make a motion that we,
Bye, guys.
table this for further discussion and bring it back up for decision at the February board meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on, we have no public hearings, no unfinished business, so new business. First, I would like to thank the members of the planning commission for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. Our thoughts on this was to try to bring you guys in so all of us could get on the same page, moving forward. I don't wanna say you guys have been left out high and dry, but in the situation that it was, I guess this board thought it's probably unprecedented to have you in, but we thought it was maybe best to bring you in so we could all get on the same page, and try to help each other. To cut to the chase a little bit, in my opinion, we have a couple of options. One is that we come up with a while, whatever that be, or I shouldn't say while, an ordinance. It may be a while, but an ordinance. This other option would be if we didn't wanna touch any of that stuff and defer to the state, that's your other option. I'm just gonna share a few thoughts. I mean, before we start, there's 3 of you on the, planning commission, or weren't on the planning commission when you did your original while, so I think it's good to have you 3 in the fire. You're welcome.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Probably wondering what you signed up for now, right? But there's some things we've talked about in this office till we're probably blue in the face, anybody. I know without an ordinance, we have no protection. It's my opinion that I would rather we did have some protection. I think there's a few things we got tied into before that maybe we don't need to this time. I do not want that ordinance, or any ordinance, to be site-specific, in my opinion. I think that's very, very problematic going forward. I think we could also make this one broader. You know, we've got residential stuff that's going in now, or in the future that's gonna be wanting to go in. We've also got, anything you wanna tie in that's green. Solar, I don't really consider wind much of a thing in this township, obviously, but it is part of it. Broad language, I think there is some ways, we've talked to Caitlin a little bit about it, where maybe we don't have to be as specific on some language, maybe that's something we need to look into. Another thing that, I looked at, did any of you guys read the application checklist for the state, for their projects? It is very in-depth. And I talked to Will about it, and I agree with him. I don't think I cut and paste it, but I certainly would go through it and take what we wanted out of it to include in ours.
We did that early on.
Sure.
We did that, we looked at that, or at least I did, and as we
Sure.
went through it as a subgroup, that was a part of our, when we were looking at it initially in terms of the.
Sure. So anyway, that's just a few of my thoughts. Chairperson Benzine, I would turn it to you.
Well, I see a lot of wisdom and proactivity in this space, and having been through what we went through with the BES ordinance, and ultimately that met its end back before us a second time. And at least personally speaking, after looking at it a second time, it was just abundantly clear to me that the science was way beyond our scope of knowledge. Like we were trying to carve an ordinance in an area that we lacked sufficient knowledge and scientific information to really come up with. I thought personally it would have been a disservice to the community to move forward, so I was not the least bit displeased to see that we kind of put it to bed at that time. But I think part of the mindset then, as it may be now, and I give the board a lot of credit for doing this, whether it's unprecedented or not. I think the free flow of information in a public setting is very beneficial, especially for the people here tonight. But that being said, I think there is a lot of benefits to be gained from taking another swing at it. And I think seeing what's going on with other local communities, our number's gonna come up. And it's one thing to give credence to the procedures that are statutorily in place through the MPSC. But I don't know if we wanna call the state's bluff on this. If we have an opportunity to meaningfully craft something, I'd be in favor of it. I don't know about anyone else.
You know, Jeff, you touched on something too when I mentioned this to Janelle. I mean, we've all got tied up in Vesper. I mean, that's the name. That comes to everybody's mind, but there's no guarantee that Vesper's not gonna call at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and say, yeah, we're done. But it doesn't mean somebody else isn't gonna call at 9:05 and say, we're gonna do this here. That's my fear of us leaving us unprotected is, on our mind, we're thinking about this one project, but it's more than that. Maybe the next one never calls, but odds are they don't, in my opinion.
But I guess the question that kind of keeps resurfacing in my mind is, would we as, a public body, planning commission, board, would we ever have enough scientific knowledge to be able to take on something like a data center or a BES ordinance? There's gotta be some integration with subject matter experts in that field. you know, I don't say this lightly, cause this is, if we go forward with trying to, you know, craft a while again from scratch, it's gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be painful. There's gonna be a lot of investment on the part of this commission. There's gonna be a lot of feedback from the community. It's gonna be a labor of love, no doubt, but I think it's for the better.
So I agree with you. We had kind of talked a little bit, and we talked with Caitlin, because something else is changing, like you said, we aren't the experts, but also the technology is just consistently changing. So what might work right now, in 5 years, won't work at all. And we had talked about that flexibility that Kevin was talking about, is a possibility, and I don't know if this is the solution, but might be an option, is, flexible language in there that could say something along the lines of emergency systems will be determined by our planning commissions, our fire chief, and an expert if required and or necessary. So we have the opportunity to put that language in an ordinance if we think that it's necessary. We don't have to have this explicitly state this is exactly what we want, but we can leave that open-ended to say, sure, you can come here, but our planning commission and fire chief and matter expert, right, an engineer, whoever it may be, they're gonna come up with what is appropriate, because we're not experts in so many of these areas. So just so you know, that could be an option, again, whether it's the best option, I don't know, but it's something that we had kind of tossed around, is maybe some of those things could be helpful in there, you know, depending on the areas. Or even like, we had talked about setbacks, instead of specific setbacks, maybe it's a calculation based on the size of the acre, you know, the amount of acreage that they're applying for. So if it's like, I mean, I don't know what that would equate to, we'd have to clear some numbers.
I'm a little uncomfortable with going too vague and too broad, because to me, I come from the business side. You make things broad, I'm a businessman, I'm gonna look for.
And that's
everything.
okay, that would be all up to you guys to discuss.
So I mean,
I'm just putting it out there
Yeah.
so that you know that that would be potential options for you. And I agree with you, Angela, I don't think you want the whole thing just a blanket vague statement, but you have those options in areas that it might be appropriate.
I guess where my head was going with something like this is, I think we need to parse it out in two areas in terms of, and I keep calling it an ordinance, not necessarily, I know we keep mincing words, but in my head, it's basically hardwiring it into our ordinance. One thing that I see, which to me is the easiest right now, is to tackle the residents. The private, because that is increasing in terms of private ownership when it comes to solar. And along with, if you obtain solar panels, more and more people are doing small scale battery energy storage to go along with the solar panels for their home. So to me, it's like, the easiest thing to accomplish right now and get the win is let's focus on private use first. In terms of solar and battery energy storage, because they do go hand in hand. Look at that, but then with the focus, so that should be fairly straightforward, and there's templates out there already, in other jurisdictions that take care of that. We can go through and look at those and build that out. The elephant in the room is the commercial, let's face it, community doesn't want it, we know that. But I think that, to your point, not having something exposes us. But what I would like to focus on, this is just my personal opinion, is, again, to your point, instead of being focused on Vesper, we focus on, zoning requirements, you know, maybe it only goes into commercial industry, certain zone. We can't get into an agricultural zone or a residential. So we put restrictions around that. We put perhaps restrictions on size, maybe there's a size limit. We put restrictions around, where it could be placed in terms of, like a school or anything, if we ran into with Vesper. The safety requirements, going through, making sure, for example, if it's a data center, going through and we don't have to get into specifics and engineer it, but we go through and we do the X, Y, and Z in terms of they need to come up with a plan, working with subject matter experts on full containment if there's an issue. You know, we can lay things out with certain areas in mind, and at the same time, I would like to bring in appropriate technical experts to go in and weigh in terms of how we can address this without getting too much detail into the technology.
To your point, there are a lot of other wiles that have been done now. At least,
Yeah.
we have some things to work off
Yeah.
of, instead of being the sacrificial
Outside of
lamb that
Michigan,
started.
I mean, there's quite a bit.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff now.
Yeah.
And you know, Kevin, one of the things that was really, I guess, really drove the anxiety and the stress that came with the whole best,
Is there stress with this, Jeff?
it was exigence. Certainly the first time around, we were operating under extreme constraints.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Time, right? And so I think have that factor alleviated, to do things in conjunction with the public at large, right? To get their buy-in and to do it intelligently. We've got, you know, the community forum coming up in just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I haven't been in contact with Caitlin, but I would assume that, you know, the review of the master plan is going to somehow touch on, you know, green energy. That's hopefully part of the agenda there. But just to have more of a collaborative undertaking with the community this time around, without the exigence hanging over our head, it would be much more,
And that's the great part about it, Jeff. We can make this our ordinance, because point blank, if they don't wanna do it, they're gonna go to the state anyway.
Yeah,
So make the ordinance ours.
So it's like, let's make it how we want it.
You know, if there's one sentence in there they don't like, or any developer don't like, I should say any developer don't like, they can go to the state anyway, so. You're right, time-wise, we can make it our ordinance and get done what we want.
so on the court of subject matter experts, they don't work for free.
No.
So would there be budgeting considerations tied to, you know, engagement with?
We'll have to, if that's,
Because if we're gonna kind of look at taking another swing at this, you know, we would wanna do it, I believe, with advice and consent
sure.
of appropriate experts, and that would take money.
Well, luckily for you, our budget meeting's this week, so.
That's just a huge consideration. We wouldn't wanna be doing this in a vacuum.
No,
you know, Even though we've got some very, very intelligent
Oh.
adds to the board.
Got a powerhouse over here.
If I may, remind me what our timeline is for the master plan? Because zoning is really tied to land use and what uses there are, and these are new uses. And, you know, there's new uses every day. So, you know, what is that timeline on our master plan? Please remind me of that.
As far as when it's supposed to be complete, Mike?
Yeah, I know we have a forum coming up here, that is gonna get some public information for the master plan. There's gonna be, but what is that timeline for completion, yes?
I wanna say it was like August,
I was gonna say September.
maybe September.
I mean, it's gonna go on most of the summer.
Cause I know we talked on the 17th in November, regarding the different uses, and, you know, from data centers to
Sure.
battery storage and that, and Caitlin had a very good, letter she produced where it had these different uses, and whether it was special land use that we would need to get to have that, or where should it be appropriately located, you know, whether that is in, you know, agricultural or, you know, industrial or wherever. Where, from the public's viewpoint, where should these things be appropriately located? And I think, you know, knowing that, then you know, you can begin to establish what the ordinance could then, the details of that ordinance is, because then you start establishing those, the particulars such as setbacks, you know, lot coverage, things along that line. So, I'm really interested in listening to the forums to see where these uses best fit from the public's eye. Because I think that, you know, that's something that we have to listen to when we develop that master plan. And then from that, we then, you know, begin to, you know, detail it out in our ordinance. I agree, I think we have to have some type of documentation for these uses rather than ignore them. I think I think every community across the state, you see the news every night, just waiting for the use to drop on our township. And, you know, we got ITC going right through those gravel mines and the mines of Oakland. You know, what a site there for someone to really eyeball for a data center or you know. So there are these things that we have to do. So master planning, I think is very important, and I think that we should parallel time the ordinance with the master plan so that we can then better draft that ordinance to coincide with, say, in August, the master plan gets approved.
Thank you. Teresa, do you have anything?
Well, yeah, yes, but, I think that, we should probably be making whatever ordinance, we should do an ordinance exactly what we want. And I'm pretty sure I said this last fall, is that, we decide what we would like, allow what we want to allow, under whatever restrictions we want to put on it, and when we're all said and done, if it turns out to be a Creo or a YO or an incompatible one, you know, so be it. I think, they still can go to the state, but if we have something in place, then, I mean, I would think that a developer coming in here is gonna say, do we have anything, even if it's incompatible, they might say, well, it is incompatible, but we can work with this, and this, can you guys, you know, give us a variance on some, I don't know, how can they get a variance on something we put into a YO, right? So they could ask, right? So if we come up with what we want and a developer says, well, I could live with 90% of it, but this other 10%, you guys are, you know, over the top, they could either decide to go to the state or they could approach us. And at that point, we could maybe, you know, think it through. But I do think that, I hate to think that making an ordinance invites them in, but like you're saying, we need to have something in place to protect ourselves. And so I say don't compromise, just come up with exactly what we want. And whatever it looks like is what it looks like. And if that means bringing in some experts to help facilitate that, I mean, I know we talked about doing that last year. We talked about, I don't know, does Caitlin have the expertise to do this? Does Will Hostler have the expertise to do this? So therefore, we need to bring somebody in who does. And we're paying them, so we could.
So sorry, it's like day 15, I'm not contagious.
Sounds like it's breaking up though.
I know, it's terrible.
So I think, at the the master plan meeting on the 26th, 2 weeks from now, out at Camp Tamarack, which I'm hopeful that, you know, everybody here will be at, that the public will speak. It will be very clear what we want and what we don't want. And that should give some clear direction for the planning commission to proceed forward from there. And that's my opinion on the renewable energy and the best stuff.
Keith?
You guys did a lot of work on the current document that you have.
Yep.
Would it benefit us to run that past a an industry expert, a
That's
consultant?
a
and
good
see-
start, I mean, that's a good starting point. I mean, I think we've talked, there's some areas of that document that, definitely need some attention. But that could be a nice good start for industry technical expert to take a look at, especially from a safety perspective.
Because they could tell us if there's weaknesses in there or whatnot, or, there is a lot of technology behind it, I agree with you guys, there's a lot to learn, a lot to know about it, we can't know everything, but
And it's always changing.
Mhm.
That's the thing, is by the time we're done with this thing, technology is gonna be way different than
right, that's why we don't wanna be
That's
too
why I wanna
specific.
shy away from that and just focus on the safety, where, the placement of it, any size limitations, things of that nature, because quite frankly, that's not gonna change, right?
Jim, did you have anything?
Yeah, couple of things. In my opinion, time was of the essence and is of the essence. And if Mike's suggestion was to pull this together by August, I disagree, I think it should have been done yesterday. So in that regard, I wholeheartedly would love to see us pull the plug, get the appropriate experts, and get this component done ASAP. And I say that because people will continue to knock on the door. This is a target-rich site, this area where our mines are. Second component is I want to tie that discussion in with either, if they're capable, the same subject matter expert, or at least at the same time, tie it into data centers. I'm looking way into the future, everybody. We have to be able to turn these threats into opportunities. We are going to be challenged for money in this township. And what a great opportunity. If we can find technology that will work, what a great place to stick them in an abandoned mine that is hideously expensive to redevelop. So that's an opportunity there, a huge one for us. And I think we would be, let me say it, and I'm throwing stones at myself, we would continue to have our heads in the sand, no pun, if we don't start doing that now. It's an enormous opportunity that is wasting, languishing, because we're not ahead of it. So I'm 150% for going forward. We're getting the SMEs in here. Let's get a proposal, let's get an ordinance in place to the best of our ability with Teresa. You know what, they can come back and say, you know what, we're good with all this. Could we change this? And we can discuss it like we do every other impediment that developers have. I think that's the healthiest, most strategic way to do things. Boy, that was good. Sorry.
I know you don't feel like talking.
No, I guess I was just gonna ask, is there anybody that does not think we should do an ordinance? I feel like we've kind of been working under the assumption that everybody thinks we should. So I was just curious if anyone felt differently.
No way, Jose.
I don't see any reason not to have an ordinance. We need a framework for,
Absolutely.
for, a YO or PREO or whatever.
Just some type of good word.
Go ahead, Jeff. you did.
Well, I was gonna say, Jim, you raised a great point about opportunity, right? Because I agree with you. I personally learned a lot about the risks and the failures of the best facilities that scared the dickens out of me, right? And that convinced me we had no business, trying to craft an ordinance to approve that type of facility. But if you ask me what I know about data centers and failure rates and what's the consequence of a data center failure, what's the downside of a data center, I don't know. So I think there's opportunity here for us to educate ourselves, to incorporate that knowledge into a local ordinance with the input of the community that could really serve as a springboard for financial leverage for the township. I think it'd be foolish for us just to say, let the state deal with this when somebody comes knocking. So,
There are two major issues with data centers, though, that we have to be careful on, and the state of Michigan is woefully behind in terms of putting regulations in place. New Jersey's way ahead of the curve. They've been doing data centers for quite a while, but two things. They are a drain on the electric grid, and we have enough problems with DTE. And then the other thing is water. They use tons of water, so they have to have, so what New Jersey's done, just to give you an idea, they actually have regulation in place where each data center has to have their own electric grid. They have to be standalone. And then in terms of their water supply, they have to have their own water supply. It's a recycle loop.
Close.
It's a closed system. But those are the things that, and I understand the opportunity and revenue generation and things of that nature from a township tax-based standpoint. But we gotta be cognizant of, we're limited on our resources as well. We don't have sewer. We're reliant upon septic fields, we're reliant on well water. We don't have city water coming in here anytime soon. And let's face it, our electric grid system in this area is dismal. It's the worst in the state. So it's like that's some of the things that we have to consider as we're considering, and it doesn't matter if it's data center, or battery energy storage center, or any type of industry that's gonna come and use those resources. We're constrained right now. Until those areas get beefed up, where this area can handle that type of stuff, I'm a bit hesitant when it comes to, making sure that we deep dive and we take a good look at things when it comes to this type of technology moving in here.
And I will tell you, I disagree wholeheartedly. You have to assume there'll be self-generating power on the site. The technology is right around the corner. I consult on it. The power grid won't be an issue within 10 years.
Yeah, but they're doing it here and now.
Yeah.
And right now, the data center the data centers that are going in right now, they're not on their own grid.
That's wonderful, but we need to be way ahead of it. I don't wanna wait.
No, I get that. We're agreeing, but what I'm saying is, if someone comes knocking on the door today to put in a data center, they are not required by law to be self-sustaining in terms of having their own power. Having their own,
state.
right, so that's something we gotta be, I'm just saying that when we're thinking about ordinances, it's over and beyond setbacks, it's over and beyond that, it's looking at that type of, those type of items as you're baking it in until the state can catch up from a regulatory standpoint.
Go ahead, Dan.
If our grid in this area is so poor, why would a data center that didn't use self-generation, why would they want to be here?
They're gonna be on the transmission lines, they're not on the woods like us.
Right,
They won't have issues with.
they're not gonna have issues, but we will.
So Jeff, we're good? We're gonna work on a new ordinance then?
Yeah, it sounds like everybody's kind of in the same thought process,
And I will-
generally speaking.
I will do some asking for you and see where we can get you some, technical assistance.
And you know, just back to Keith's point, we do have some of the spokes in the wheel. I mean, it's not like we gotta start from scratch.
You don't have to start completely from scratch, you can
Correct.
review what you have, the weak areas, hit those. So you go after those ones, probably most of it is already solid, it's the ones that were gray or the ones that you weren't sure of, but that's where we should probably focus the energy.
And it will be beneficial if there's other local communities that have passed FIOS.
Sure.
I think Brandon, Atlas, Springfield, Holly, I think every one of them has it.
For real.
I'm almost positive.
I don't know if Brandon's passed one yet.
I
I know
thought
they
they
were
did.
working on it. I don't know if
It's
they.
not done yet? I thought they did. If they haven't,
But we
they
will
have
get,
something.
we will
in
get
the
those
works.
for you.
Yeah, that's encouraging,
Yeah.
certainly.
Alright. Was there anybody else that had anything? Mike, go ahead.
Is there a timeline that the board would desire this ordinance to be in place? Other than, I was talking about,
Don't ask Carol.
to the master plan process, but I'm getting the sense that we would rather have it sooner than later. Is that what I'm hearing? I think I'm just asking the question. I mean, if your master plan's August of this year, you want it sooner.
If you're asking me, I would tell you I want it as soon as possible, but in the same aspect, I want you to do a good job on it, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd rather it was done thoroughly and it took longer than to half-heartedly throw something together and be back here in 60 or 90 days. I don't know if that answers your question, Mike, but it's gonna take what it's gonna take.
It's gonna take time to get experts in that
Yeah.
can educate the planning commission on the different topics.
Sure.
You know, you have the master plan in conjunction to it, you know, ideally, I would love to have it sooner than later as well, just to protect the community. But when you look at realistically a work plan, put it together, it's probably going to be right along the same lines of that August time.
It would be my guess.
So I just wanna be on the same page
Sure.
with that too as well, because I think that's important for the planning commission too, to understand, so that, you know, we're not rushing to get something complete, you know what I
I
mean?
understand.
Well, could we do this? Could we, so we know we've got the community brainstorming session, right? To get the feedback on the master plan coming up. While we're getting that input, if Kevin can locate a subject matter expert to at least look at what we have put together for a first draft. And while they're looking it over and putting together their feedback, we can get community feedback, especially when it comes to zoning. And then we could pull the two together, and then from there, we can spin off into a work group, kinda like what we did before. Get that feedback from that subject matter expert, the feedback from the community, and then that should at least give us a starting point, and then maybe engage the subject matter expert again for another review, as well as I would like to get the attorney engaged too, if it's possible, for Will. I know we had some early engagement with Will, but I think, having him a little bit more integrated in the process, I think would be helpful as well.
And that's a good point too, with, you know, the liability standpoint for the township. Making sure that, you know, one, we are not putting the township in a liable situation, whether it's not having an ordinance or having an ordinance, or, you know, too restrictive of an ordinance or what have you, because there's a fine line in ordinance writing for that. So I agree with the attorney side of things too.
Well, do we have, if we just break off into, speaking as a planning commission member, if we break off into work groups, is that, or just a smaller group to work on it, is that work group subject to the Open Meetings Act? Not from the standpoint of.
It wasn't before, because we're only making a recommendation, so we, like what we did before, we were working, there's 3 of us that were working on this, and we would present the drafts to the main planning commission, and it was just, here's what we put together so far.
I'm just thinking of flexibility of the people in that work group and a consultant to be able to get those people scheduled together without having to wait till once a month, do it at 7 p.m.
No, as long as there's just 3, they're not quorum, so
Yeah.
they can meet whenever. Okay. All right, I will get to work on that. Wonderful. Are you good, Jeff? Anything else?
I think we are good, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one thing. Well, according to EDRA, the Economic Development Responsibility Alliance of Michigan, right, they have said that, Public Act 233 does not clearly outline what constitutes as unreasonable restrictions against energy development, so this is up to interpretation by the NPSC and by local and state courts. So it's vague. I say we do what we want to do, right? And also, all due respect, Jim, I believe we should not allow any data centers in our township until there has been proven, until you can show that they're not harmful, they're not, I think there's, like Angela nailed it, they use all the electricity and all the water. And I just don't think it's the right usage for any land here in Groveland Township. I would rather put a moratorium. Janelle, you said that Springfield Township put a moratorium on,
There's another one, I can't remember the other community, but Springfield just approved one.
so people, like, yes, these things are being pushed. And I spoke with Senator Ruth Johnson, she was telling me that even closed loop cooling, can be detrimental to the environment because of something you have to put in the ground, and then it leaches arsenic into the water. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought closed loop cooling was the answer, but evidently that's not even really the answer.
right.
And
It's
so-
closed loop.
Right.
It's the heat that something, that does something. So what that just told me was, we're not really ready for this, right? We're not ready for it, and there's, too many of us that are dependent upon that aquifer for drinking water, and the, electric lines out here. We know that the infrastructure is, whatever, we'll be the ones that suffer, not the data center. Okay, and I just don't think that's right to do to the people. So I personally would, I mean, maybe 10 years down the line, sure, if they can beef up the transmission lines and all the infrastructure out here, and I'm not sure how they're gonna figure out the water situation, but at some point in the future, perhaps a data center might be less detrimental, let's put it that way. But for the short term, I'd like to see a moratorium on anything coming in here that would be a huge drain on the electricity and the water. Whether it's a data center or some other large thing. And I know from our last, master plan, the people did not want any big box stores. Okay, a data center is not a big box store, but it's a big box.
Yeah.
And it certainly is a big box of EMF, so, you know, I think that might even be worse. But at any rate, I think we should say no to some certain things, and a data center is definitely one of them. At least for a set time period, maybe a year, and then next year we can revisit that. That's my suggestion.
Teresa, your point's very well taken by me. I wanna stress, we're in the O-zone. We need a subject matter expert to bring us up to speed on all of this stuff, so we can say in confidence to the community, you know, our subject matter experts have suggested this, and this is why we're doing the following. And if that means a moratorium, that's fine. But right now, I believe we're targeted, we have nothing in place, one way or the other. So that's my immediate
Yeah.
concern.
I think the biggest difference with the data center is we don't have to allow a data center here right now. There's nothing in the law that says they can go to the state.
No, they don't
if we
follow
say
the
no.
233.
Exactly. So the data center, we have control over, so we just need to, you know, if it's something that we wanna permit, I guess that's a discussion we need to have, and if it's something we don't wanna permit, then that's also a discussion that we need to have.
Do we have a private owner of any significant size other than us who could sell?
Oh, no.
So that's a concern.
For data center,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
have,
there's one they're talking about over off of, Kendall Road.
Is that us or another community?
No, that's us.
but I will tell you that particular developer also has run into the issues of
Every one of them has
Water.
water and power.
water and power.
So in one way, we're kind of protected a little bit right now because of those two things, but they'll find a way around that eventually. Go ahead, Jeff.
So, Teresa, you raised the notion of a moratorium. Does that emanate at the board level, or is that something that's, initiated by the planning commission? I mean, if you could just,
No, it would be a
you or
board.
somebody speak to the subject of the moratorium, I don't have the
It
experience.
would be a resolution made by the board. Yep.
And the effect being what?
Well, not to, for lack of better words, you're just kicking the can down the road is what you're doing. And you can make moratorium for
Yeah,
6
just
months or a year
pause,
or
that's
whatever.
all. It's a pause.
Yeah, you're hitting pause button.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So is that I'm sorry.
We will get you, I will get with you and try to get you some experts.
Is it too late to have a moratorium on a vest?
They were deemed not even legal for that, 233 supersedes it,
Yeah, you can't, you're
Yeah.
not allowed to.
233 supersedes it.
We can, but then they can just go to the state or something.
Heck, no, if that was a worth day to pass it on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Jeff. Thank all of you for coming. I appreciate it. All right. I have to apologize. I got so excited about that conversation, I forgot to approve the minutes.
Start over?
We're gonna start over. I apologize. So now I feel sorry for you.
I'm just sorry for all of you, they never listen to it.
Township minutes, did anybody have anything on those? Good.
Well, for the township ones, there was one question on the fire.
Oh, we can do both at the same time, that's fine. What do you got on fire?
So on the fire board minutes, towards the bottom, it says that Keller motioned to approve the purchase of something, and then it was seconded. It doesn't say who seconded it.
What was it?
Oh, that's it.
It was a Mako repositioned breathing air fill station.
Oh, for station two?
Yep.
I believe Pete seconded it. Can you make that correction?
Yeah, just a note in there who seconded it.
I don't think there was a second because there was that motion that it was to be paid from account and then
Oh.
you seconded it. That's why.
So,
No
Oh,
one
I'm sorry.
actually seconded it because Keller had made the motion to purchase the Mako 3
I got
and
you.
then Weiderhold put in the motion that it was to be paid from a certain account and then you seconded it.
Okay.
so is that okay to leave it the way it is?
I mean, I can strike out the word second in the first part of the motion.
Hmm. Can we say if the intention was you were seconding it the first time? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how it's supposed to appear in the minutes, if that was okay or not okay. You know? Yeah, I think the motion was made, and then I asked something about where it was gonna be coming from.
Yeah.
That's, yes, that is a PowerPoint.
Okay. So maybe it should be Keller made the motion and Weiderhold seconded, and then you made another motion? And I seconded? Was that the intent?
Those accounts would have been way over my head for where it was coming from.
I don't think I would've come up with that number myself.
Well, yeah, the number up above too, that's what's
Right.
kinda confusing.
Did you provide the numbers, John?
John did provide.
Yeah.
It was in-
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause right now it reads as if there were two different motions. And then there's no amended motion. Keith, did you say you thought you supported it? I think that we should, most accurately reflect the minutes, just have Keller motion, blah, blah, blah. Seconded by Weiderhold. I would remove that amendment line and then just leave the second motion as a second motion that Keith motioned that was paid from. So basically, you're gonna strike after that first line, installation for $3,724. Strike that line that says the motion 206-340-980-001. But Leaderhold seconded. And then you can leave that last line, I guess, motion to amend the motion. And then Leaderhold added to the motion. So that would be his amendment. I think that's probably the most accurate way to reflect that.
I think so too, I just,
Okay.
yeah, I think that reflects more of like what was intended.
Yeah, it may have gone amend, motion, motion, but I think to most accurately reflect it, yeah.
Right? Okay. That was all I saw.
Anything else? No?
I thought I saw just, no, nothing that would change the meaning of anything.
I'll make a motion then that we approve the minutes of December 8th for Township and Fire, subject to the one correction on fire minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discuss board of review resolution.
This is, so you should all have a separate piece of paper at your desk. Laura and John, I did give you guys a copy of this if you wanted it. All this is our new assessor. He works for multiple different municipalities, so the statutory board of review date that he is required to attend, he can't do all of them at the same time for the second day. So this is just a resolution for us to allow him to still by statutory allowance, basically gives him flexibility for now and in the future to modify that date, that second date for the board of review. So, the first part, you'll see, whereas the Groveland Township Board of Trustees finds as followed. The next three things are actually parts of the law itself. That last line is the important part. Therefore, it be it resolved, the Groveland Township Board of Trustees permits flexibility in the board of review dates to be arranged by the township supervisor and assessor in accordance with the law. So, unless you have any questions on that, I would motion that we approve resolution 2026-01.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
The next one is also for the board of review. Judy, after many years of service, has stepped down. Judy Flynn, how long has Judy been on there?
Judy's, I think about 3 years.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, Judy's been on
so
about.
we need to say thank
3
you
or
to
4.
Judy for her service. And I have asked Jay Reynolds, one that was in our trustee interviews, to join the board, which he agreed to do. So at this point, I would like to make a motion to appoint Jay Reynolds to the board of review.
Is that like a 2-year term, or is that even a term?
He would finish her term.
I don't know that they had terms.
They're 2-year terms, start in January. Aren't they 2-year?
For
3?
review?
Yeah, they're 2 or 3-year terms. They come up every
Okay.
years.
So for, to complete her term, or
Yes.
to?
He would finish her
He would
term,
finish Judy's term.
unless it just started this January, I have not looked.
So if Judy's term is up, then
Then he will start a new term.
A new term.
This January.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Janelle Hyatt and BGYA board members.
So both of these next two items are pretty simple. Basically, the Holly area youth assistants and Brandon Groveland youth assistants. When they get new members on their boards, we have to essentially acknowledge them, agree to them. So that next item that you'll see there, it is written out as a resolution, though it's not in actual resolution form. So this would be considered resolution 2026-02. They are for HIA. They have accepted Leslie Jorgensen. She is a full circle real estate agent. And they are asking for us to approve her addition to the board. So I don't have any issues with that. Anyone? Okay, if not, then I would motion that we approve resolution 2026-02 to accept
I'll second it.
Leslie to the board.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then the next one is the same thing. This one is not in resolution form, this would just be a simple motion by the board. But, they would like us to accept the following individuals: Robert MacArthur, Shelby Stewart Solden, Lynette Kelly, and Scott Roddy. Appointed board of directors would include Teresa Bills, Fran Hotchkiss, John Hug, Matt Jenkins, Jason Rumble, Diane Salter, and Mary Staten. So we just need to approve all of those unless anyone has a problem with Teresa Bills.
I squeezed, I narrowly escaped being the new secretary, so.
If not, then I would motion that we approve their executive board and board of directors for 2026.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discuss North Oakland Regional Chambers fees. So, the Chamber of Commerce did something different this year. They actually grouped municipalities into a different pay rate this year. Sure, I didn't bring the bill with me. Anyway, it went up from like $165. Oh, never mind, this is better, thank you. Yeah, basically it went up from 165 to 565. The reason they did that,
Yeah, let's hear it.
it's not my reason, I'm just telling you why they did it, is, their reasoning was, is as a municipality, we couldn't donate money to their events, like the food truck and the Blues Brews and all the other stuff they do. So their idea was, and when I say that, I know we're a member, I know Holly's a member, I know Rose is a member. I don't know if Brandon is, they may be now, because North Oakland actually moved into Brandon last year. So anyway, that's why they did it, was basically to raise more money. So I had talked to Janelle about it. So last year, besides the 165, we had actually taken out an ad in their directory. And we taken out a full page, it was like $500 some. So I told Janelle, I said, well, I still think being a member is a good thing. Obviously, we want to support the businesses in our community, which we do have a fair amount that are a member of that, let alone Holly and Ortonville. So my suggestion was we do the membership, but instead of taking a whole page this year, we just take a quarter of a page, and basically we would be spending the same amount of money as we did last year. But for now, I'll make a motion that for $565, we pay our yearly dues to North Oakland Regional Chamber Association.
A second.
Second, you want a roll call that, please, Laura?
Chanel Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. All right. The lady to my right says she has something to add.
This is a little out of Robert's Rules of Orders, but I need to motion that we amend our agenda to add 2 items. Well, one of them was in our packet, but it didn't make the list here, so.
Is that right?
Was that the
That's-
Tamarack thing?
Yes.
I thought, okay.
And then the second one actually just came in when I ran to go get those papers from Tom Zelinski. but I do think it's time sensitive.
Okay.
So both of them are, so,
Well,
if we
because of the
can,
way you feel, we'll let
I
this
would-
slide.
I know this is kind of a wonky spot to do it, but I would motion that we add item H, Camp Tamarack, snacks. I know it sounds silly,
Ham snacks.
camp snacks, and I would be, Olive Branch Cemetery tree. Yes, when I ran to my office, he had responded. So this is just simple, we had touched on it. Oh, that's my motion.
All right, I'll support.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay,
Opposed?
anybody opposed, just kidding. Camp Tamarack snacks, so we had talked about, adding some type of snacks or, little finger foods at the event. And then the more I talk to him, it all has to come from their kitchen. So I think we have a couple options. You can see he did about $3 per person, maybe some bag snacks and some probably light drinks, I assume maybe coffee and water. Or if it's easier for us to just say, we would like to spend no more than $300, I'm throwing a number out there. They can come up with whatever they can for that. But obviously I do need to let him know now. Thoughts?
I think $450 is a bit much it's a bit much to me.
I
to
kinda
spend
thought
on
it was a little
snacks,
too for
especially if
snacks.
it's gonna be bags of chips, pretzels, fruit, trail mix.
And we
some
could change
cookies.
the number for expected people, let them down to 100, too.
I would think that we could tell them for $300,
Give us
could
what you
you,
can.
could you, yes, could you hook us up with some nice snacks? I mean,
I thought 450 seemed a little high myself.
yeah,
The thing about bags is they don't have to open them all. Just
Right.
use
Right,
what you need and.
yeah.
right.
Makes,
the amount.
give us those extra bags we paid for. So everything has to be kosher there, that's why they have to provide it.
Sure.
So, anyway, I just need to let them know what we wanna do.
I'm good at 300.
Okay.
think that would be-
So then I would motion that we allow $300, up to $300 for snacks for our master plan committee meeting.
Yeah, could you see, I mean, I don't care if they have bottled water, but,
What was the motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second it. I'll second it. Laura, would you roll call that, please?
But, well, before we vote, Teresa has
well, I
something.
just wanted to make sure that they would have, some sort of beverages, but.
Yeah, it sounded like it was just like water and coffee and probably maybe just tap water, I don't know.
Okay, I mean, I'm not a big fan of bottled water,
You know.
plastic.
I mean, it's at 7 o'clock, I assume most people will have already eaten.
Yeah.
It'll just be something for them.
Right.
Okay.
No, we'll call over.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes. And then the last thing here, was it December that we already did this? I think it was. The big old tree at Olive Branch Cemetery that loves to shed big old branches all the time. It has finally, almost all of it is down now. So, typically, we would do some, multiple estimates. Tucker's has been the one that's always come in. They've done a great job, but this tree is now like in the cemetery again. So this quote just came in when I ran to my office, I saw that it had come in. It is $1,200. It's for entire removal of the remainder of the tree, cleanup of everything on the ground. So this is the invoice if anybody wants to see
What
it.
about the stump?
This is removal of drowned tree, this is what's on it. Removal of the trunk of the tree at ground level. So down,
Flush it out.
yeah. And removal of limbs and wood.
Is that Tucker?
This is Tucker's.
And they have consistently come in lower than anybody else.
Yeah, well, we did have another bid in December, I think, and he was lower.
And he's lower than Michigan Outdoor Services.
Yes, actually, Michigan Outdoor Services is that was the other, and they're who we use for our lawn care. So, I don't know if anybody's passionate about who does it or anything, but he always has done a nice job.
No, we need to get it out of cemetery.
And it does need
because
to be
it
done.
is-
So if you're not interested in this one, I guess probably approving some amount for us to have it cleaned up is necessary.
No, I'm good with that one. I mean, it is laying out in the cemetery, big time, so it needs to be taken care of.
Okay?
So I'll make a motion, $1,200, what was it?
Yeah.
$1,200, for Tucker Tree Service to remove the downed tree from Olive Branch Cemetery.
Support.
Support.
I'll second.
Laura, would you roll call that, please?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
You wanna add anything else on
I'm
Janelle?
not-
Or we good?
Good.
I'm good? All right.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll let you think about it. I'll put you on the spot again. How are your youth assistants, you know?
I'll keep it short. They actually just had another, so this was the December meeting, they just had another meeting this past Thursday. I don't have minutes for that yet. They did a joint project through the month of December that went very well. As we just discussed, they just did all of their elections. All of their positions were unopposed, so lucky them. They are getting ready to do a Goodwill fundraiser, that's not until May, but, they basically will be, they can earn up to $1,000 by filling a container with donations, which is actually a very hefty amount of money, considering they did some gift cards not too long ago for Texas Roadhouse and only got like $240. So that's a hefty amount for them. They're getting ready for they received $5,000 from ARPA funds for a summer reading program. So information about that will be coming out soon. I did bring this, I'm not gonna go through it, but these are their current standing committees. Well, I guess I should say this is finishing up 25. So this is available if anybody's interested in seeing what their different committees are and what they do. We always are looking for a representative if anybody in the community is interested in attending and reporting back. And then I do have just the information on veterans. And they have their monthly dinners, their vet-to-vet dinners. Next one is going to be on January 19th at 5:30. That's all I have for you for
Thank you.
BGYA, just a couple things, the, annual volunteer luncheon, breakfast at 7:30 a.m. Is Thursday, March 19th, it's a couple of months from now. And that's held at the iTech Center, so, any board member is invited to that. The guest speakers will be, Dan Stevens and Megan Kozlowski, the principal and assistant principal at the high school. The youth recognition event is also slated for this spring, April 23rd, and by the end of January, January 24th, in the Citizen newspaper, so that's only a couple weeks from now, right? Shelby is going to be putting the, information starting for, this year's, nominees, and the theme for this year is, BGYA Youth Inspire Us All. And, so anybody can nominate a youth in the Brandon School District. And, the nominees, you can be done online, or we will have some nomination forms here in the office, starting, the end of January. And then, we do have a board meeting tomorrow, and we just approved the board for 2026, and then anything updates, I always say, check their website, BGYA, and their Facebook. Okay.
Thank you. Keith, Planning Commission?
We didn't actually have a meeting in December, but we did pick new officers for the year, right? So did we have to vote on that?
The elections are coming up.
Yeah.
I was gonna say your election should be in January.
I think they're coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot you guys didn't have a meeting last month.
Wasn't this their meeting?
No, we didn't have a meeting last month.
We're just invited guests.
Jim, ZBA,
I was not,
Oh.
out of town.
I don't think they have one either, did they? They have, you have one coming up.
I
You have
think
one
so.
too.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Supervisor.
What's that for?
Variance for trash container.
Oh, that's, yeah, Carter's,
In the big house.
the big house.
Oh,
They want a dumpster out at the drive.
In a nice
So-
brick container.
okay, well, they do have a nice entryway.
They wanna put it at the other entryway, I think.
Oh, the service drive?
Their service drive.
I don't know, guys.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's,
That's what I believe.
yeah.
Supervisor report for December, we did have the meeting with Vesper on Zoom, Janelle sat into. It was the meeting that would kick off, their state requirement if they decide to do that, so that's what that entailed. Sewer meeting was in December, the good news is it went from 120 million down to 77 million now, they re-engineered a bunch of stuff. I will tell everybody, since they've had it in the paper, I can't tell you how many calls I've had. There is no money approved to do this project. So if it happened in the next 10 years, but of course, when it's in the paper, everybody thinks it's gonna happen tomorrow. It is not. There is not $1 allocated for that project yet. I got invited to a breakfast at Lisa McLean's house over Christmas. That was very nice. And we talked about appropriations there for a few things. Probably the worst thing that has happened is the last 2 weeks, the freezing and thawing. I can't even begin to tell you how many calls I've had on the roads. I understand how bad they are. But we're in contact with the road commission, and I hate to tell you, there's not much that's gonna happen until springtime, other than Band-Aids, really. With John, we had David Martin in last week to talk about trying to get some earmarks to put more firewalls in the township. I'm hoping that is something we can progress with. As Angela said earlier, I don't know if we'll ever have municipal water here. I doubt we have it in our lifetimes, so if we could get some more firewalls, that would be great. And last, I will let Janelle take this, but the neighbor to neighbor deal that we did, as a township in December was unbelievable. It really will restore your faith in humanity. The residents and some of the businesses here were phenomenal, phenomenal how it turned out, so. That's it for me, I'll let you finish on that.
Sure, no, that's great segue, so, yeah, we were able to adopt 4 families, as a community, so last year, just as an office, we kinda did this as a group, we said, let's adopt a family, got a couple people, found one family and took care of them, and then this year said, like, let's go big. So we adopted 4 families, and probably many of you saw our Facebook post, we put it up. Laura did a phenomenal job, kudos, big kudos. Big present up there with different tags, so everybody had an idea of what to purchase. And we had residents, businesses, oh my goodness, kids, young, old, everybody coming in. And you should have seen, I wish we would have taken more pictures, the amount of items. I mean, these kids and adults, they were spoiled. I would say very easily each family walked away with probably close to $1,000 in items. And I mean, I don't know about you, but usually I would think that a lot of these families that, end up in this program see, if anything, a very, very minimal Christmas. One of the families was living out of a car last year, so they had 0 Christmas. The stories about these families, I mean, they would bring you to tears. They did bring us to tears. So it was so wonderful to be able to be a part of this as a community. It was just amazing, so. It was. This you may have seen on Facebook, the recycling bin, we've had a million questions about it. And people are not happy. We had a recycling program going on for a long time through GFL, right?
Yep.
And they quit the program. But they didn't tell us, so they just came in, took the dumpsters everywhere, it wasn't just here, it's like all around the area. So the dumpsters are gone. My question probably to the board would be, do you want me to investigate paying for a recycling company or no? I will tell you, the flip side of recycling is that a lot of times recycling is really no longer recycled. So if you haven't heard that, that is the unfortunate truth. That is even what they told me on the other end, is people aren't buying recycled materials anymore. So 100% happy to look into recycling programs. I don't, you know, it gives us a peace of mind, I think, to feel like we're doing something good. At the end of the day, though, I don't know if that's a waste of taxpayer dollars, and it isn't really recycled. So I would,
I'll help you on that, Janelle. I'm all for it if we can find a recycler that's actually recycling the product.
yeah,
But just to pay for something to be out there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's make some phone calls.
I was gonna say, let's do some digging on that, see if we can find some.
No problem. In your mailboxes, you should serve to receive any day in the next couple of days, those master plan, community vision workshop cards. They're about a half sheet. I printed off the front side, so if anybody wants to just take one on your way out. But we need you and the community at this event, so please make sure to spread the word to your neighbors, to your community members. This is how we determine what the future looks like for Groveland Township. Do you want a Walmart? Do you want a hotel? Last time we did the master plan, people didn't want it, but maybe we do now. Do you want lots of marijuana facilities everywhere? Do you want strip clubs? I don't know. So this is your shot. This is your chance to tell us.
Are you saying you do?
Never tried marijuana, put it on the top.
Clear up your cough.
Maybe it'll be a cough. So yeah, so that'll be the 26th, January 26th is at Camera Taps, not Butzel Conference. It's not here on Great Hall, it's the one on Berryville. And that'll be on your card. Other than that, I'm just doing a bunch of year-end, year-beginning stuff. What have I missed, Laura? Anything else?
I don't think so.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Teresa?
Just collecting taxes, winter taxes, final due date would be February 17th. It's usually the 14th, but that is a Saturday this year, and then the Monday following that is President's Day, so it's Tuesday the 17th. Notices of assessment that they will be mailed out probably early to mid-February. So if you're not aware, we have our own assessor now. His name is Bill Thompson. He works for us and Rose and Brandon. He will be putting those all together, and those will be mailed out. You'll get them in a regular envelope that says Groveland Township. When you open it, it says this is not a tax bill, but it's a comparison of the 2025 taxes to the 2026 taxes. You wanna look at those very closely, make sure that there's nothing on there that's been, you think is wrong. If there is something you think is wrong, you can call Bill Thompson or you can call me, and we'll see, how to get it fixed, if it's a clerical error or whatever. But those will be going out in mid-February, and the March Board of Review is going to be, I believe, since we approved the dates for Bill, would be Tuesday the 10th and Wednesday the 11th of March. Those would be for appeals to your valuation. And dog licenses for 2026 it's a little bit different this year because Oakland County has gone to a different system. It's called DocuPet, and we have been kind of doodling around and trying to help a few individuals who've already come in to get their dog licenses. And basically because they didn't have it up and going, and they hadn't trained us on it, given us access, all that. We were supposed to have it by December 1st, but then it was kicked back to December 18th, and even then it was like we didn't get the information and we went on break. So we've figured out that most people are not even eligible to start purchasing their new dog tags until the end of January, because they've extended the expiration date of the 2025 dog licenses to March 31st of 2026. So the new system, you must have to be like within 6 weeks or something of expiration before they'll let you actually buy a new one. But you can do it from home, or you can do it from here. If you do it from here, you can still pay cash or check, and you don't have to pay a service fee. If you do it from home, you're subject to whatever fees that they want to impose on you. But it's a new system, and I imagine they're gonna send everybody the postcard in the mail. If you have a dog, you know, you get the postcard in the mail from Oakland County. Now you'll probably get it from either Oakland County or DocuPet, I'm not sure, it's all new. So, yeah, we're just working our way through it. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, at this time, I'll open public comment. If there's anybody that's got something you wanna say, raise your hand. Mr. Don?
I just wanted to say, on your tree situation, there is a charitable organization that collects trees in the area for, they turn them into firewood and sell the firewood for, charities and stuff, and they do a lot of work within the Brandon, Groveland area. It's Knights of Columbus from St. Anne's.
Oh.
So they wanted to, if you wanted to, more information, I can give you a contact info.
Yeah, that'd be
It
great.
might be helpful for, if it's a down tree in the cemetery, I know those guys would be over there, we call them the woodchucks.
They do it at the cemetery on, Ortonville, yes, they have done it for us, and they have done a beautiful job.
They clear it for free?
Yeah, they take the wood.
I had to replace my septic field. In 2018, we had 7 large silver maples. I contacted them, and I had about 14 guys come out. We chopped down all the trees, brushed it up, and they took all the logs. They took it back to their yard, and they split it, they cure it, and they, sell it for, it's one of the biggest fundraisers for the years. So it all goes back to the community.
Thank you.
I can check over.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Gina, go ahead.
Gina Mazzarelli, Groveland Road, if you don't know who I am. So thank you, Teresa, for mentioning the moratorium. I think that would be very prudent, and not to kick it down the road, but to make a commitment that you will educate yourself in that year or whatever time frame you choose to be ready to address it at that time. I think that would be a very good option for this board. I have for years, and even more so based on some information I've gotten since I've been back in the state, think it is time for us to engage a municipal attorney practice for this township. Will is an awesome real estate attorney. We need some municipal law experts, all right? And I'm just gonna, it's not even that. I mean, I can relate to the frustration of calling MTA. They guide, they don't answer. We need more than that right now, all right? I think that would be a very prudent thing. And again, to talk to what Jim said about people coming in, already we're behind the 8 ball. We are. We got an offer from an entity to purchase acreage here in the township back in June for the intent of a data center. And it was not acted on, but that breeds a lot of stuff. I really, really need to see this board put out a resolution to disclose all financial interests from any board member, any vendor, any company we hire, any LLC, service providers, anything at all for monetary gain on any of these big ticket items that could potentially be shoved down our throats. I think that is huge. We all know it's not, but that is one of the things I am continually hearing in the community. There's eroded trust. Do that, make that resolution. Try and reinforce that trust.
Sure.
All right, no conflicts, just be upfront about it. And Ruth will help you with language if you want.
Sure.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Kevin, loved your video update on Dropbox.
Oh.
That like having a monthly update like that, or however often you can do it, I thought that was super helpful.
No, I'm gonna aim for monthly.
Kevin Vision.
Kevin Vision. But it goes to the trust aspect.
It does, sure.
If,
Yeah, it does.
if residents
Transparency.
hear what you're doing, you don't
No, we're
hear
gonna try
it.
to do them monthly.
I loved it. So anyhow.
Thank you.
That's great, and thank you for the notifications on the master plan, getting those out. I think that's great, just letting the community know that they can be engaged. They may not engage, but at least they know about it. And I don't remember that the last time that went around, so thank you very much for that. And thank you on the Knights of Columbus charitable contribution woodshop thing. I would like that number.
I'm working on getting the
That's
contracts changed
amazing.
from.
That's amazing information, by the way. I want to address the Mines of Groveland development. Just to go back to that when, was it Tim? Tom? You know, he mentioned something about security, he's paying $40 a month. Like honestly, and I'm surprised you guys if you haven't seen that website. I mean, it's been up for at least 18 months. And it's shocking to me that you haven't seen it, to be honest, because it's a great tool that we should be using as a township to market that property, not for data centers or bus, but for what it was intended for, which was OEM suppliers or some other type of development. So like, we should be using that. It's a nice website, it actually is. So he talked about security, honestly on that website, just so you guys know, I've done some website development. You don't need security on that, you don't need to pay $40 a month on that. I would ask him what it's written in before you guys agree to anything, if you're gonna take it over and not have him manage it for you. Ask what it's written in, if it's Wix or Squarespace or what he wrote it in, because that makes a difference on how easy it is to manage and update. And you want it to be easy, because all you'll be doing is updating like whoever the real estate agent is, who they contact. There'll probably be very little updates you make on it. But it's a nice website. I say use it. You guys, it's built, it's there. I'm kind of shocked it hasn't. You guys aren't more aware about it. And Jim, to your point, just in all due respect, please understand the sensitivity of that gravel pit site. You know, you seem so eager to put anything there, and I realize it's a difficult site to develop. I get that. But be careful what you develop on there. And please have a value proposition. You know, last time when we came here and you signed that lease for 40 years to Vesper, you approved it. And I asked you, what's the value proposition, and you did not know. I find that unacceptable.
Exactly what the value proposition.
At that time, in that meeting, and it is recorded, you did not
I
know.
really don't remember that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you didn't. And I was shocked, and I said, how can you not know? You are our trustee. These are the things that need to be weighed, the whole board and planning commission. Like, we need to weigh these things before you approve something, or, you know, it's important. And I think that when it comes to ordinances and the zoning and land use, when we're writing new ordinances, you know, we should have a source water protection plan. I don't think we have that. And that is our source of water. And you guys can poo-poo it that it's not that big of a deal, but that Marshall Aquifer is incredibly important. And it can be exploited pretty easily. So I think we need a source water protection plan as part of the ordinance. We need to make sure there's environmental impact studies that are done. That can be something that the developer pays for. We hire the person who does it. You know, these are, because technology is gonna constantly be improving and changing. And so we can't possibly write something that is gonna accommodate everything. But you can definitely put some onus and responsibility on the developers for what they are expected to pay for and what we require. Monitoring is gonna be another thing that's gonna be really important in the ordinances, is the monitoring and reporting and what we expect. I didn't see a lot of those things in some of our earlier documents because we didn't know. Right. We just didn't know, but they're so important. I've been to a lot of meetings now where I've gotten a lot smarter. And don't think data centers are not also environmentally hazardous. Are they as bad as the bus? No, but buses go right with data centers, so they're gonna go hand in hand. So just, please be cognizant. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanna make one point. what you said, but, and we were kind of chuckling back here, sorry, while the meeting was going, but we actually brought the 2021 master plan, and in it gave the last community discussion, the get-together back in 2018. And the one thing in here, getting to your point about gravel pits, when it was surveyed with that particular group within the community, the top votes in terms of what to do for a redevelopment option in terms of gravel pits, the number one thing was passive recreation. The close second was active recreation, destination, and venture park. If you get into light industrial, commercial, on the bottom. So just, it'll be curious to see, I'm sure it'll come up again, but that jumped out. The other thing I just wanna point out too, that I thought was very interesting when they polled everyone and they looked at collective priorities as a community. The second top one was any development made should be made to better those who currently live here and not to bring more developments here to accommodate others. We thought that was pretty interesting.
I've heard what Keith was saying, and I can't remember his general, it doesn't really matter. Because everything you all said was important. That's kind of like buttering it over. Anyways, somebody said something about site-specific plans for the planning commission, and somebody else said something about you gotta be kind of general. The problem is of course you can't be too general, but you can't be too site-specific, because for some reason everybody goes running to the courts and says, hey, we want to sue you for because you're too general or you're too site-specific. So, and y'all know that. I mean, am I stating something that's pretty obvious? Probably, but you guys are in a tough spot.
Thank you.
So there's, and we realize that, you guys are in a tough spot.
Water and safety.
Thank you.
In many locations.
Mrs. Shank?
In 1991 or 2, they had a Brandon schools, Groveland, Township, and Brandon meeting in the cafeteria of Brandon High School. One guy stood up from Brandon. If we can get some water and everything in here, our land would be so developed and we could get so much money for our land, blah, blah, blah. One guy stood up and he says, I'm in Groveland. I don't want water. I don't want to develop. I like it the way it is. Every Groveland person there cheered. That was, 35 years ago. We haven't changed. We want to keep it the way it is.
Thank you. Carrie?
Is it my turn? Sorry.
What am I doing?
I didn't know what my turn was. Put that on.
Okay.
Alright, so I understand. I'm gonna give my name. Yes, Carrie Smith. But I'm gonna say something different. Yes, I'm a member of Groveland Township. Lived here, paid taxes since 2001. Love the community. Moved back here because it was one of 13 schools that I went to that drew me back. Agree. Don't want much to change. I agree, we need revenue. I agree, we need revenue. But we need to be brilliant and find ways to make it happen. We got some brilliant minds here, and there's many ways to make revenue besides bringing some crappy, humongous corporation that doesn't care a lick about any of us. What I was gonna say different is Carrie Smith from Community Hope. And if you don't know what that is, I wrote a petition back in October because I want us to bring hope here in this place, and I see hope tonight. I see hope because you guys are doing something you didn't do before. You gathered yourselves together and said, let's become one mind. We might not all agree 100% on everything all the time. That's part of being human. But getting a design for what we want this to be with the master plan coming up, with an ordinance to provide ourselves safety, we have got a ginormous, huge corporation wanting to come into Michigan in 3 communities, not just here. Did anybody even know that in June of 2024? Because I didn't know it back then.
Was there ever a site plan developed? No. I asked him. Never has there been a site plan. Who here in their right mind would work for a company or own a company and not want to see the plan in place before you just give them whatever you're going to give them? It makes no sense. I said we need money, we do. But at what expense? The health and safety? If you go to the petition that says to stop BES, the majority of all of the comments that are gaining ground are the ones that say that they care about health and safety. I don't weight that. The company that I wrote the petition from out of the United States weights it. We need to have protection. You have a company that wants to do a guise, and they've already created the LLC for Woodson Energy, and they've got their website here. They're telling the world, or anybody who wants to see, what they're gonna do and how it's gonna make us stronger and how it's gonna bring more jobs. Bull crap. Show me what jobs they said that they were gonna bring us. I have been watching now since last year a development that's happening not in this state on data centers and on an ecosystem and everything, because I'm curious to see how it goes when it's all done. The state of Michigan will never be able to duplicate it because that's not who we are. So if it's success, we will not be able to duplicate it unless we become like that state. Michigan is pure Michigan. I don't know what the heck people are thinking of with this renewable energy. In order to bring a renewable energy, you have to be able to renew it. Where is the decommissioning? And with all due respect, and I mean that when I say it, I don't mean that. Somebody told me once it means you don't really. But it does. My father was a Marine. So when you say it with all due respect, you do mean it. So I am encouraged by what I see here today. I am encouraged because I have come to these meetings when I was one time the only one sitting in one of these. I think it was yours, but I'm not sure. Because he was sick. And I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by each and every one of you listening to each other, whether you agree or disagree. I'm going to share one final thing. I don't want to be a downer. I really don't. But I want to be a reminder of what we're facing in this day and age. Thanks, son. The health and safety are first. They're first over money. Money is going to get spent. How much money will it really take to have a developer give us enough money? What is the dollar sign? How much is that amount that's going to say, okay, it's worth it for us? To be fiscally responsible here, every dollar you get, that's why you vote on where you're going to spend it. That's what makes you fiscally responsible, not how much money you get, but what you do with it. Water, electric. Need to decide what or if it is wanted or not, which we're about to do when it comes up there. There's a lot of people not here tonight for different reasons, sickness, death, whatever. But the public has already spoken. They already did speak. We're on camera. Then we were shut down and told not to ask questions. So then we're told to print or write letters and bring them here. They exist in this office. Some of you looked at them. Go back and look at them. Those brilliant minds, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Just watch the videos or read those letters. I agree, it's okay to say no. I mean, what parent doesn't tell their kid no if you don't want them to be a spoiled brat or you don't want something in your house? It's okay to say no in our community. Now I'm going to share something and then stop. Heavy metals, toxic, noxious gases, sorry, I can't get the word out, public nuisance, falling soot and ash, compensation for physical harm to persons or property, rashes, skin irritation, nausea, sore throats, sinus irritation, breathing problems, headaches, tiredness, burning lungs. Thermal runaway causes chain reactions. They cause battery cell after battery cell to reach a critical temp and then they just erupt. Design decisions that are made, or design decisions when they're made, batteries can be susceptible to thermal runaway events, period, in the very design decisions. I agree, we do not have the expertise in this room. I agree with Gina's comment as well. I've said it, I'm on record, I said, Don, with all due respect, I think you need co-counsel. And it's not out of disrespect, it's out of, let's get better prepared the way we need to. Physically intruding into the land, equipped with fire suppression, Increased levels of nickel, cobalt, manganese, lithium in soil and water, toxic smoke, chemicals, moss landing. It's only some of my notes. 300 megawatts. I'd open back up to that page to show you, and I have it. Can I have that computer?
Kara, can you wind it down?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The last thing that I'll say is, and I know you guys have looked into it. I know some of you have done your due diligence. I'm here only as a reminder tonight. Woodson wants to do 300 megawatts. And, yeah, maybe I don't have it, sorry, it was up there. It's a picture of the fire that burned. It's a picture of the fire that burned there, and it was almost a year ago, and this is still ongoing. This is recent news of what the people are still experiencing because of thermal runaway. So when we decide what we do and we don't want, we have to think about what might happen and how would we prevent it from happening, because the fire suppression failed. The way they built it failed. And it failed the people, and 1,200 people had to evacuate their homes. I really do appreciate when we do it, to really think about what we do and don't want to allow with that. And I'll be there at the next meeting, and I know you guys are hearing us. I will again say, thank you for hearing us. Thank you for doing this meeting joint tonight. Thank you for all the due diligence. Thank you, because I don't just want to be the heavy all the time, but I do want to remind us as we go forward to do this, what we're really faced with.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, we're gonna close public comment then. Wanna make a motion to adjourn? Open fire?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the general meeting and we reopen for the fire board meeting.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? John, I don't want to shut you down, but I need 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
John, the floor is yours. Sorry.
All right. Thank you for hearing me tonight. To start with apparatus and equipment, we've had some minor repairs on it as listed there. Everything is in pretty good shape. We do have the SCBA fill station up and running that we approved last month at Station 2, and it's working out quite well. On the budget amendments, in order to balance the budget for unforeseen increases, I would like to move 12,000 from 206-338-702-027 to 206-260-910-000 general insurance. That's to cover the premium increase.
You wanna do them individually?
No, can I do them all together?
Yeah, sure.
Do I have to read them all?
No, we can read them here.
Okay.
You can just say the name. So it looks like you got them all coming from what shift? Shift pay?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can just motion the 11,400 from shift pay to general insurance. And with, we see your numbers listed.
Okay.
If you wanna just read the rest of them so the public, cause I know this is very exciting.
It's being just for you.
They felt bad, John, they stayed.
I'd like to move $3,000 from shift pay to dues and subscriptions. That's to cover the increase of our MPERS. That's our fire reporting system. Comes out of that line. I'd also like to move 8,000 from shift to miscellaneous. And move 20,000 from shift over to repairs and maintenance. So I can do some needed repairs on the engines before the end of the budget season. Engine 2 needs substantial repairs to it. They're still outstanding. And most of the fleet will have time for the tire replacement, unfortunately. They reduced it from 10 years to 7-year replacement, so it's coming time for that. So.
Just real quick, that miscellaneous, I just see we didn't have anything budgeted for that. Do you know off the top of your head, Laura? So our
In the
active meeting,
miscellaneous line in the budget that I had it.
it had something? What did you have? I don't have any.
I don't have that budget in front of me. I'm sorry.
I just don't think we have anything budgeted at all, so I was just curious.
Okay, that was just to cover what was over in that line on my
No,
budget.
that's okay.
So,
I actually am more just wondering if it's been improperly logged. Like, I think our ecto all comes out of that miscellaneous, so that would make sense for all the background checks. But that seems like a lot of money in miscellaneous.
mm,
Can you think of anything? What would have come out of miscellaneous, Laura?
No.
I can't think of anything. Anyway, continue your thing.
and that was it for the budget amendments. And if you have nothing under the miscellaneous on your budget, table that until next time.
Well, that's what I
So
was
we
thinking, what we could, I'll just double check those to make sure they're properly, assigned to the proper GL number. So we can approve them, and then if you're comfortable with it, if there is something I need to move, I'll just deduct from that 8,000. Does that make sense? Like if
Yes.
1,000 of it should have been under, I don't know, bank fees, which won't be, but if I should, are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. If that's the case, then I motion that we accept the budget amendments as presented, with possibility of modifications to the miscellaneous based on confirmation of correct GL numbers.
I'll second it. Laura, you want a roll call that, please?
Yep. Keith Leopold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
All right, on to personnel. Jordan Accord and Caleb Ferris passed their EMT class and have their national licensure, so we'll be able to put them to work pretty soon. Caleb has everything he needs, and he started his third ride with us, and he's completed 2 of them, and he's doing quite well. Jordan has needed his driver's training, and he had just texted Stacy and said he found one this weekend in Alpena that he's gonna go to on his own, so he's very eager to work shifts. So we'll have 2 more to fill, and that works out excellent for us. Then our cadet program, we met with the Holly Kiwanis Club last week, and they generously donated $2,000 to the cadet program, and we're kind of doing things differently. Everybody had their own individual program before, and now the North Oakland departments have kind of joined together to give it a little more uniformity, and each of us have a little something different to offer, so they'll come to us for like vehicle extrication, and they'll go to North Oakland for some engineering things. So I think it'll really grow the program and hopefully draw more resources in for us and get some more people into the profession, because it's dying out pretty sadly. So we'd like to thank the Holly Kiwanis Club for providing us
They
that.
are excited, John. I mean that seriously.
Mhm.
We're excited about it, so.
It's a good program,
Keep
and
going.
we've been doing it for 30 years that I know of, and we've produced quite a few firefighters that are all around the state and in country, so it's a good thing. The minimum wage increased on January 1st, and pretty much it was only the cadets that were at minimum wage right now, so they all received a raise and are now, I bumped them up to $13.75 instead of the $73, because it's just easier accounting.
You big shot.
Yeah.
Hey, John, what are your base EMTs and paramedics making per hour?
A base EMT, you have to be an EMT firefighter.
EMT, yeah.
They make $18 base, and then a paramedic is $20. And then
was
For-
just curious how close it was to minimum wage.
It's not too far off from McDonald's, is
Just
it?
like, are we paying them like 15? I couldn't remember.
Community risk reduction, unfortunately, Stacy ran us out of smoke detectors and the state has no more supply, so we're on a waiting list to get more right now.
I missed my opportunity.
Still got some combos left, I don't have, they just straight most.
Our fire officers will be participating in a NFPA Community Risk Reduction Kitchen Roundtable, this new program that NFPA is putting on. It's kind of like a webinar Zoom class that everybody can compare the offerings of their municipality and what you can do to reduce the risk. So hopefully there will be good things coming out of that. Then Stacy has us scheduled to do combined fire inspections with North Oakland. So that'll work towards our company officer, company inspection program. So that's something new we're doing now. On the EMS, we finalized our annual compliance and reporting requirements for the year. That was quite an undertaking, chasing everybody down, getting them to complete that. Our report cards are attached, everything was good. On one of them, they do have on there, and that's actually the ex-chief Mason that had dialed 911 and was unable to get through. He called several times. And actually, it had a discussion with Ryan Cohey, who runs dispatch, and he went back through the logs and everything. On their logs, it lists out the phone numbers that have called, and he had no listing of his phone number on there. So hopefully it was just a poor service issue, but we're keeping our eyes open for anything more that happens, because there are quite a few areas in the township that don't have very good reception.
John, before you go on the cadet minimum wage, I think to cover everything, I think the board needs to approve that, even though it is state law.
Okay.
Any wage increase, I believe we are, should be approved by the board.
All right.
Let's make a motion.
So moved, yes.
So
I motion that we approve cadet wages being increased to $13.75 per hour,
I'll second it. Would you roll call that one?
effective January 1, add that in my motion.
Oh,
Pretend I said it.
there you go.
She's got a lot to do.
Okay, Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderholt.
Yes.
All right. Just wanted to bring it to your attention that we've rolled off $289,000 through Medicare and Medicaid payments through the reduction. This is standard. I have in there 23, 24, 25, the amounts we've written off. It does impact us quite heavily, and unfortunately, we do have an aging community, so more and more are going to turn over to that rather than insurance companies. So unfortunately, with the outlook on things, that we are gonna have lower collection rates. So, and we do rely quite heavily on that subsidy for our operation. So just keeping our eyes on that. Then to add to that, Michigan submitted their ground emergency medical transport paperwork to the Social Security for increased reimbursement that would give us an extra 4% on it. They haven't put out any official numbers yet, still in the pipeline, so we're waiting for that.
John, just one question about the write-offs. Is that the 188.70, is that what you did take in? And the 289 is that's what you billed, but you only got the 180, is that the 63%?
No, the write-offs for $289,000 that we wrote off only for Medicaid, Medicare.
Residents.
Okay.
Residents only, right?
And we received $180,000.
No, can I comment?
Yes.
So isn't this like with insurance, you can ask for $1,000 and then they'll say, well, the only amount you're only allowed to get is 600, so that 400 is what you're writing off.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's not that.
It's not that we wrote off the entire bill itself, that's what we had. In order to do the transport, we had to sign the contract with Medicaid,
Yeah.
and that we would accept their payments.
Whatever their limits are. So you can bill them whatever you want, but they're only gonna pay you what they're gonna pay you. And the rest is what you're calling your write-off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, in Michigan, they do pay different rates, but unfortunately in Michigan, we're one of the lowest rates versus California. You know, they pay $3,000 for their call versus the $400 we get. So it's
crazy.
It's a little unjustified, but it's how they work. Our CAD import to our ESO, the electronic patient care records that we implemented 2 months ago, is up and running very smoothly now. Glad we did it, and it's a lot easier to track the calls and make sure everything's imported properly. Unfortunately, we have 2 cardiac monitors that are out for repair, one with a printer issue and the other has no capnography reading. That's the CO2 that you exhale. They're both expected to be quite pricey repairs. And unfortunately, the monitors are also at their end of life, so. Hopefully we'll be able to secure a grant for replacement soon. Operations, we're currently in the process of purchasing equipment and coming up with procedures to remove EV vehicles from houses once they're on fire. Throughout everything they've done so far, the blankets and extinguishment through foam and water, it hasn't proven itself, so the best means is just to remove the source. So we're gonna go that aspect, and hopefully it works out for us.
How do you do that? Snatch it with a hook and drag it out?
Yeah, actually big J hooks on a harness, on a bridle, and with a length of chain on it, and then a pull strap so it doesn't snap, and just hook a truck onto it and pull it out.
Have you had any EV fires?
No vehicle
Anywhere?
fires. No vehicle fires. We have had the scooter fires and e-cigarette fires.
Oh.
Those blankets don't work.
Pardon?
Those fire blankets don't work on it.
No, actually what they found is they trap in the explosive combustibles. So if it gets any oxygen into it at all, it explodes.
Oh.
So it's kind of, yeah, it sounds really cool, but yeah,
I
it
bought
creates
my
a
family all
much
of
more dangerous environment.
$10,000, it's single use.
Yeah,
What was this?
The blanket is like 10 grand, it's single use. So in Dearborn, I worked at Ford in Dearborn, fire marshal was telling me that they were trying to get those reimbursed from your insurance. So if your electric car burns and they use a blanket, they want you to pay for the blanket. But they don't use them because they've been directed not to use the blanket because somebody has to put it over the fire. Then they gotta get it on a tow truck. And it's still, like John was saying, there's hazard there. Now it's on a tow truck and you're gonna drive it down the road with air weapon in there. It's gonna go off.
yeah, bad scenarios.
It's just really rethinking this electric car.
When I saw that, I was like.
Just to keep you updated, we are in constant collaboration with all of our surrounding departments, because due to our staffing shortages universally around the area and in state, we are calling each other for mutual aid on a more frequent basis. And then Mavis, the mutual aid box alarm system, is researching different notification possibilities to reduce our dispatch times. So when we go on a fire and we call for a box alarm through our Mavis system, dispatch has to go through and tone out the departments individually as they go. So if we up our response to the next box and request 10 more departments to come, you know, it takes them 30, 45 seconds per department to dispatch them, so that adds up to quite a good amount of time. So, they're researching designating a whole new radio channel that we'll have to monitor to respond to, and they were researching I am responding, kind of is our active 911 that alerts us through the phone, but that system hasn't worked out, and they just backed out of it on Friday. They advised us they were no longer going to pursue that, so still working on the radio. Our training, we began our annual training for our medical, our HIPAA, our bloodborne pathogen protocol. And then this year, I am requiring everyone to complete a traffic incident management course. It's a 10-hour course. I did find it online, and it's free for the course, and it's tested, and they'll be certified at the end. It seems anymore that too many people are dying on roadway emergencies. I think it's one of our major concerns, even more so than fires, is operating on the roadways, especially 75.
Yeah.
You know,
I couldn't agree with you more.
I've been in pretty close call incidents several times. Luckily, when they happened, I've been in the truck. It's MSP that's standing out there. They had to jump out of the way, but they happen way too often. I designated our CTC fireworks funds in collaboration with Springfield and Highland Township to put on fire officer class and instructor courses. Hopefully we'll be able to get several people through it. By going in collaboration with them, hopefully we'll be able to put them on several different times at dates and different times, daytime and nighttime, so we can target a bigger audience and get more people through it. This year, we're also requiring everybody to become with their ICS 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 800. Generally, only 1 and 200 are required. This will help us in a lot in our incident command practices, but it also, how do I put it? It helps us secure grants.
There you go.
We're working on that. It's quite a few hours. It's a pretty extensive commitment for everybody this year. We're loading them up pretty good with training, so. And then the training committee is finalizing their calendar. Hopefully they're meeting Wednesday, and we'll have that finalized for the year. Now, none of the alarms, you see, this year that we had 1,146 calls for end of the year versus the previous 1,117, so we're pretty much on track, which how things have been over the past few years, slowly increasing. Last December, we had 104 calls versus the previous year of 84, and that's mostly due to the weather in Mount Holly, because where most of those calls came from. We had no major incidents, and the run summaries are attached. Township attractions, Mount Holly's open, and as of last weekend, we had 10 calls. One semi-critical incident where a 20-year-old female went over a jump there and landed on her head, and she had a significant head injury. Still waiting on an update.
She was wearing a helmet.
Yeah. We took her in, she was bleeding from her nose, mouth, and ears, so they intubated her right away, and that was the last we've heard. We haven't gotten a response back from our requests, so we'll keep you posted when we do hear something. Our community outreach, we participated with the Kiwanis Club delivering gift baskets. Went quite well. It's always pretty cool to go door to door and make people smile, so they were happy to see it. The association adopted a family for Christmas. And just a reminder, anybody who has Kroger rewards to sign up for the rewards program, so the firefighter association gets a certain percentage. Grants, Stacy's the grant guru, so we'll let her cover this part.
Fine. So, we've been working for the last couple months on a regional grant for 5 cardiac monitors. Like you said, ours are, 2 of ours are almost 20 years old, and the other 3 are 10 to 15. Life expectancy on those monitors are 8 to 10 years. So we're working on getting a grant to replace all those. We got a meeting tomorrow with West Shore to get a price on 2 new frontline engines. We're gonna apply for an AFG grant. The CBD grant, Ian called me today, we're gonna get that gear ordered next week. And he'll get us a bill before April.
Next budget.
Next budget. We applied through Enbridge Pipeline for thermal imagers. Sent that in this morning. We got the power grant through the township here for rear view cameras, not rear view, dash cams. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I put that down.
And I put down what
Yes,
you
you
did.
did. So we got those ordered and delivered, so we're working on getting those installed. We did get the DNR volunteer grant. We received a reward for $49.50 that's gonna purchase, it's a matching 50/50 or a matching grant. We're gonna get a skid unit for the mule. Request approval for the purchase of a Firelight Ultra Pressure pump as presented. It's $11,000 with funding from the equipment purchase.
What's a UHP pump?
That's just a descriptor. It's a cat ultra high pressure pump. It runs at higher pressure, so you have to use it, or can use less volume. It's just way more efficient, and due to the size of the mule, we don't have to carry so much water. So
It's like a mini grass truck, and we can also use it for rescues with the Stokes basket. We got a lot of trails out here. We can get to remote areas with our mule that we can't get to in an ambulance.
I'll make a motion that we approve $11,000 for a Firelight ultra high pressure pump as described, from equipment purchases with the GL number given.
We did have, as Kevin.
Kevin, or
Keith
Keith seconded.
Okay, am I roll calling it?
I think so.
Hold on, sorry. Janelle Keller.
Yeah.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold.
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes.
Good to go.
I'm sorry, Stace, go ahead.
No, you're okay. As you mentioned earlier, you gave me Dave Martin's assistant's number. I emailed him, and within 12 hours, I had an email back, and we had a meeting with him about the 10 wells for the township, for a possible grant through Dave Martin. So we're working on that. I did get an email back from the Firehouse Grant Sub, for the thermal imagers we applied for last September, and we were denied for that. But it is, kind of like grant season. They seem to be heavier certain times of year, so.
Yep.
We still haven't heard back on our AFG grant for Safer yet.
And that concludes the fire department's business. Would request a closed session to discuss a few topics.
Closed session, you said?
Personnel.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
do you?
do we wanna do
you
public
could
comment
maybe do
first?
public comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You guys say Wanna do public comment?
Nah.
Anybody have any-
Is
No?
it that Groveland, is that the
I
one I wanna
apologize.
choose a Groveland? Tell me what I wanna.
The dive rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
To make sure.
And it doesn't take away.
Okay, we're back in open session.
No.
I just think for the record, it would be good that we were all on the same page.
Sure. So I'll make a motion that we reinstate Jeff Stahl on a 2-year probationary period. Correct?
Contingent upon his, completion.
Yes, contingent upon his completion with the court.
That's the one I supported.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, that's it. Anybody got anything else?
I motion that we, oh, public comment, sorry.
No.
We already did that.
Motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
At 10:16.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.